Okay, so good morning everyone. My name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, we will be discussing Indian Express. There was this suggestion in the comment box that I should include the page number, so I will try to do it from the next time. I have read the comment just now. Okay, so I'll try to do it or incorporate the page number as well for you, so that it will be easy for you to navigate through the newspaper. Okay, so let's start with the today's discussion. We will start with the practice question and then we will move forward with these 3-4 articles that is related to. One is Hepatitis A outbreak in Kerala. So recently there has been a significant increase in the cases of hepatitis A in Kerala. So with that respect, we will be talking about this, and then afterwards we will move towards the new flood COVID variant Kp2. Okay, so this is the name of the variant, that is FLIRT. Okay, or flood. So basically this variant has been there. You must have heard about this JL1 variant. After that we have come up with the Kp2, and that Kp2 variant is known as flood. Okay, so we will talk about this COVID variant and we will see how this is different from the previous variants. Okay, then India Volatility Index. Okay, so this particular index is you can say a measure of the market, how market is fluctuating and how much risk is involved. So we will talk about that index as well. Because of the effects of the elections etc., there has been fluctuations in the market, so we will talk about that. Okay, around the world we will take 1 or 2 news, then for your own read there will be 1 article, and then we will end the session with the practice question. Okay, so now here you can see the Indian Express had the front page is here. Most of the articles are related to either you can say your elections, or otherwise it is related to some kind of political conspiracy. You don't have to go through all those things. One statement which has been made by PM Modi: the day I do Hindu Muslim, I will be unworthy of public life. I will not do it. It's my resolve. Okay, so that is what Prime Minister has said. When Prime Minister says such things, or you can say office which is having a public trust, or you can say a designation which is given by the constitution of or the office is of trust, in that cases such statements has a value. Okay, so that is a positive thing. Now we can move further with the first article, or before that I will discuss the practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture. 55 Cancri E has been in news recently. It is a gas giant, an exoplanet, an asteroid, or a comet. So basically when we are talking about this particular entity, that is an exoplanet. Exoplanet are the planets which are basically outside your solar system. Okay, and this was in news recently because there was this telescope, that is James Webb. I told you to go through and read about this particular telescope, why this is important. Okay, so James Webb telescope has said that this particular exoplanet has atmosphere. Okay, though life is not probable yet over here, but thing is there is a, you can say, indication which says that this particular planet or exoplanet has atmosphere. Okay, so that is about this. Now we can start with the first article, that is related to hepatitis A outbreak in Kerala. 12 deaths so far, and you can see 4 districts are on alert. Okay, so that particular things are of no use, but the thing is this particular disease hepatitis A is of importance for us. Okay, so let's see what is happening in Kerala. We will see what are the reasons behind it, and so that we will try to understand the nature of disease from here. Okay, then we will talk about hepatitis A separately. Okay, so Kerala is seeing its worst outburst of hepatitis A virus in recent years. There are 1977 confirmed cases in the first 4.5 months, and then 12 deaths. Okay, so basically this is the data which has been given in Kerala, and which says that nearly 2000 cases are there. So in the last 4.5 months, so that is a huge deal. Then there are 5536 suspected cases. Suspected cases means that these are the cases which has not been reported yet, but there are chances that since these many people are reported, there are chances that nearly 5000 people are not reported yet, but they are having the symptoms of this particular disease. Okay, then 15 more deaths are suspected to have been caused by the virus. So this is the can say data which has been shared. Now the hepatitis A virus, that is HAV, affect the liver and transmit it through the contaminated food, water, and through direct contact with the infected person. Okay, so it is a contagious disease. Okay, so it will spread through the direct contact, otherwise contaminated food, water will also be propagating the virus. Okay, then direction has been issued to strengthen the grassroots level plans in these districts. When we are talking about Kerala, water source in all affected areas will be chlorinated. So that is one thing, since it is basically spread by water and contaminated food. So chlorination is one of the way to purify the water. Okay, then there are restaurants which has been told to use only the boiled water, and then there are other advisories which are given which is of no use for us. Then quality of water in state has come down significantly. What is the reason behind the outbreak of hepatitis A in Kerala? Because they are saying that the quality of water has actually came down significantly because of various reasons. One reason here is given that when we are talking about the summer season, there is a, you can say, scarcity of water, and then there are these pipelines which are inside the ground. Then there are certain kind of leakages which are happening over there, wherein the waste water is coming in contact with the drinking water. So that is the issue over here. In many places, leaky water pipeline get exposed to waste pipelines, and this becomes the glaring during the summer situations when water supply becomes erratic. Okay, now here HAV mainly spread through the feces of infected people. Okay, as I told you, this is from the, you can say, either from the direct contact or contaminated food or water. So this is one of the way, feces of the infected person, it is one way to, you can say that it can contaminate the water. Okay, so through this waste pipelines, the drinking water pipelines are coming into some kind of contact from the leakage of the water, and ultimately this thing is happening. Okay, now here you can say, what is hepatitis? Hepatitis is a disease wherein inflammation of liver happens. Okay, that is the, you can say, major you can say impact on the health of a person, that liver of that person will be damaged, or you can say inflammation will happen in that particular case. It can be acute means that short term, and it can be, you can say, chronic, that is long term infection. Okay, there are various types when we are talking about. One is viral hepatitis. Viral hepatitis, with the name it is clear that with the kind of pathogen, that is virus, that hepatitis will happen, and there are different kinds like A, B, C, D, E. Okay, they all of them are having different mode of propagation. We will be talking about that. Okay, then there is this alcoholic hepatitis because of the consumption of alcohol, that is second type. Then there is this toxic hepatitis. Toxic hepatitis means that because of the, you can say, some kind of, if you are having any kind of interaction with the toxins, or you can say poisons, etc. So here you can say certain poisons, chemicals, medicine, and supplements. Okay, these are also harmful for the health, and if they are harmful for health, then because of which if they generate into the hepatitis, then you will see this thing. Then last one is autoimmune hepatitis. Now causes of autoimmune hepatitis are not clear, but there are chances that that can be genetic as well. Okay, what happens is that your own immune system start to treat your body as a foreign body. Okay, now autoimmune hepatitis is a chronic type in which your body's immune system attacks your liver. Okay, so what is happening here is that they are identifying your liver as a outside body or a foreign body, and they will start attacking the liver of that particular body itself. Okay, so that is autoimmune hepatitis. Okay, the causes is not known, but genetic and your environmental factors may play a role. Okay, so that is about hepatitis. What is the basic introduction of that? Now we will see certain, you can say, how it is spread. Okay, hold on a second. So let's see how this particular viral hepatitis is spreading. Okay, because other than that, when we are talking about the other hepatitis which we have seen, like toxic, then autoimmune, these are based on toxins, or this is based on bodily function of a person. So these are not communicable. But when we are talking about this viral hepatitis, this is the kind of disease which is going for the spread. Okay, now hepatitis A and E, there are two types we have discussed, A, B, C, D, E. Okay, so out of these, A and E, these are usually spread through the contact with the food or water that is contaminated with an infected person, or you can also get hepatitis E by eating undercooked food. Okay, so please remember these two factors. Now when we are talking about B, C and D, these are spreading through the, you can say, blood. Okay, contact with the blood of someone who has the disease. Okay, if you are using the needle, used needle, etc., or in that case that can be happening. Okay. Now hepatitis B and D, they can spread through the contact with the other body fluid along with the blood. When we are talking about B and D, they are spread through the blood as well. Along with the blood, other bodily fluid, if they are contaminated and they are coming into contact with each other, in that case also it can happen. Okay, so it can happen in many ways, like sharing drug needles, having unprotected sex, etc. Okay, so these are the way how hepatitis is spreading. Now since these different type of hepatitis are having different ways, so please remember that, because there are chances that they will get you confused in these things. Okay. Now what are the symptoms? Simple: fever, fatigue, loss of appetite, nausea and vomiting. Now because of these particular symptoms, since they are very you can say common symptoms to happen for various diseases, so people might not know that they are having hepatitis, and that is why there are, you can say, unreported cases. We have seen that there are suspected cases in Kerala, nearly 5,500. Okay. Now why these are suspected cases? Because in such symptoms, people might ignore them. They will not see that it is hepatitis. It can be hepatitis. Okay. So now moving further, let's see the new variant, that is your FLIRT variant of COVID virus. Should you worry or not? So first I will tell you the crux of this article, and then we will read this article. First of thing is that COVID, you know that it is a virus and it is going through various mutations, and there are various variant which has came into picture. Right now when we are talking about the previous variant, or you can say this particular variant, that was related to your Omicron. Okay. So Omicron was the variant, last variant, and these are the subtype of this Omicron. Okay. So recently, few days back, there was this particular variant, that is JN1. Now in this JN1, there are certain, you can say, tweaks, or you can say mutation which has happened, and because of which they have come up with the other variant, that is Kp2. Now here you can see JK and OP. Okay, so there was this one particular thing which has skipped over here. That is because of the nomenclature. You don't have to worry about it, be worried about it. So that is about your Kp2. Now the current version or current variant is Kp2, and other name of this current version is basically FLIRT. Okay, so let's start with the discussion. One thing here is that this is communicable, or obviously the spread is high, but the thing is it is not very dangerous as of now, as the health authorities, even the World Health Organization, they have said that it is not yet cause of concern. But let's see what happens. Other than that, when we are talking about the vaccine, taking extra shot of vaccine will help or not? So no, it will not help, because when we are talking about the mutation which has happened in JN1, after that we did not make any changes in the vaccines. So that is why, if for JN1 we don't have a vaccine, and ultimately for this particular thing Kp2 we don't have vaccine. But again, we have developed a herd immunity for COVID, because there are various people who has gone through multiple cycle of COVID exposure, but they do not know it, that they have gone through this particular exposure, because the, you can say, fatality which was attached to the COVID in the first and second, third cycles, that has suppressed slowly and slowly. Now these variants are coming like JN1 and Kp2. We did not see significant number of deaths or fatalities or the casualties. So that is why we are saying that right now it is not a cause of concern to worry. But again, these are spreading at a faster pace. So normal precautions like wearing a mask, or social distancing, this will be a better thing to do when we are talking about this particular thing. This variant Kp2 is most of the cases has been seen in Maharashtra. Okay, so the people from Maharashtra, they should be little more cautious about it. So they should practice social distancing and wearing mask. Okay, now coming to the article itself. New coronavirus variant called Kp2, nicknamed as FLIRT, that has been linked to rising cases of COVID-19 in United States, United Kingdom and South Korea, and it is in circulation in India since November 2023. Okay, 250 Kp2 cases has been recorded, and out of which nearly 128 something 55% cases has been recorded from the Maharashtra. Okay, now all this data has been given by the INSACOG or INSA-COG. Okay, this is country's genome sequencing, you can say, consortium. Okay, so for the genome sequencing, after the COVID, we have gone for the genome sequencing related activities, and for that INSACOG was responsible, and they have given this particular data. Now what is Kp2 variant of the COVID-19 virus? Kp2 is an descendant of JN1. We have discussed that is JN1, which was the previous variant. Okay, these are sub-variant of the Omicron. Last time when we are talking about the, you can say, biggest change in the variant, that was Omicron, and they are sub-variants of the Omicron. Okay, now later representing two immune escapes mutation that allows virus to evade antibodies. Okay, so as I told you, there was this escape from NOP, then we have this. So this particular escape and that Kp2, this says that there were two mutations which has happened, and there are certain areas on the spikes protein. When we are talking about COVID, you must have seen the structure of COVID something like this. Okay, it has some kind of spikes over it. Okay, now spikes are nothing but these are the addresses. Okay, these are the addresses. So whenever you are sending any kind of drug or vaccine, etc., they go and they identify from this particular address and they are attaching to it and indirectly killing the virus. Okay, so these are the addresses. When we are talking about these two mutations which has happened on these spikes. Okay, and because of which these spikes are becoming immune to the previous vaccines, etc. So that is what the concern is right now, and because of which that change has happened over here. So here you can see the letter represents setting two immune escapes mutation that allows virus to evade the antibodies. These two mutations on the spike protein disrupt the major sites on the spike protein where antibodies bind and neutralize the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Now please remember this SARS-CoV-2 virus, this is the name of the virus, coronavirus. Okay, these mutations allow virus to escape the antibodies. Okay, earlier what used to happen is that you have sent an let's say antibody, something like this, they are coming for that, they would attach on these particular, you can say, spikes. Okay, now the thing is, because of the mutation, their address has been changed. You can simply say that you have sent a letter, but the thing is the address has been changed, and because of which that letter will not, either it will not go through a perfect address or otherwise it will get lost, and ultimately this particular spikes will not be countered, or you can say coronavirus will not be countered by these antibodies, and that is why the infection will stay. Okay, now coming to the what do the genomic data on Kp2 in India shows. Okay, so out of 250 cases, 128 are from Maharashtra. Okay, that is highest number. They were found in March. Okay, India has been reporting the highest proportion of Kp2 sequence in the world. Kp2 sequence made up 29% of the COVID-19 sequence uploaded by India, and that is global initiative on sharing all influenza data. Now there are two bodies which you have to remember. One is your INSACOG, you will go and read about this, that is your homework, and second body is GIS Aid. Okay, so these two bodies are related to COVID and genome sequencing. Okay, when we are talking about this GIS Aid, that is your global initiative on sharing all influenza data. On the basis of that data, there are certain things which is saying that when we are talking about the Kp2 infections or the sequence, 29% of the COVID-19 sequence uploaded by India on that particular portal. Okay, you don't have to remember this, but just remember this body and how, what is the kind of, or what is the function of this particular body. This is world's largest repository of these sequences over the last 60 days. Okay, this is the largest repository of the world. Okay, now however, JN1 continues to be the dominant variant of SARS-CoV-2 in the country. There are 679 cases of COVID-19 as of now. When we are talking about May of 14th, there are 679 active cases. Okay, so that is about this particular variant. Now coming to the next part, that is, can Kp2 cause severe diseases? Okay, so obviously, as I told you, we have gone through various cycle of exposures, and that is why there is this herd immunity which has developed. But again, there are certain sections which are not, you can say, very strong, like vulnerable to this particular disease. When we are talking about, let's say, elderly people, children, pregnant women, okay, or any person who is having any kind of history related to diseases, etc. Okay, so because since they are already weak with respect to the diseases they have, and that is why they are more vulnerable. Okay, flood is characterized by the ability to evade immunity from vaccines and previous infections. As I told you, vaccines are not working in this case, so that is why they will evade the immunity from the vaccines, okay, and the previous infection. The symptoms are similar. Symptoms that your fever, cough, fatigue, digestive issues, these symptoms are similar. Now there are currently no indicators suggesting that Kp2 would cause more severe illness than other strains. Okay, so we are saying that it is not a cause of concern as of now. Okay, and that is said by the US Center for Disease Control and the Prevention, because that is right now in US, UK, it is quite prominent. However, could Kp2 drive up infections? Okay, so as I told you, when we are talking about the spread of this particular variant, that is higher than the other variants. Okay, so here you can say flood has a highlighted transmission rate, and like its parent JN1, it is likely to drive a wave of infection. Infections are likely to spread silently because these are the, you can say, these are certain when we are talking about the symptoms which are there, and these are also common symptoms. Okay, without severe symptoms, most people are unlikely to get themselves tested. Okay, now given the likelihood of easy spread of the virus through the respiratory droplets, that was the one prominent you can say factor in spread of the disease. So that is why it was advised to go for the masks, so that your respiratory droplets are not in, infection becoming a carrier for the other person. Okay, so respiratory droplet, there is a need to take stringent precautions, especially for those who are having compromised immune system. Okay, those people who are having a compromised immune system or weaker immune system. Other than that, senior citizens, okay, adults aged from 60 and older, especially with the pre-existing medical conditions like heart disease, lung disease, diabetes, cancer, are more likely to experience this severe and potential fatal results of COVID-19 this time also. So as I told you, there are certain sections which are vulnerable, like 65 and older, immuno compromised people, pregnant women, etc. Okay, so these are the people who are more vulnerable. They have to be cautious about it. Now what are the symptoms of Kp2 infection? Symptoms are same which we have already discussed. Okay, other than that, like Omicron, it's Omicron mainly affecting the upper respiratory tracts. There is no documented difference in the you can say presentation. So basically they are saying that when we are talking about the symptoms, there is no documented change. If you want to read, these are the symptoms, that is fever, chills, cough, sore throat, congestion, runny nose, headache, muscle ache, and difficulty in breathing, fatigue, loss of taste, smell, brain fog, feeling less wakeful and aware. All these things are basically your symptoms. Now how can infection be prevented? As I told you, you can go for the social distancing, you can go for using masks, etc. Do we need booster dose? As I told you, vaccines are not effective in this case, because last time we have made any kind of tweaks in the vaccine was before in the case of Omicron, and after this JN1 variant we did not go for any tweaks, so these vaccines will not be working. Again, these vaccine which you have already taken, they might provide you a layer of you can say protection, but the thing is, getting a new shot will not be of any use. Okay, that is about the recent version of COVID-19, that is flood, Kp2. Please remember all these things. These are two bodies which you should have idea about. There are chances they might ask you. Okay, now moving further, next article. Hold on. Okay, India Volatility Index release. What does it mean for the investors? Now there are too much data which are given, but we will not go into it. We will just see what is this particular index, who releases this particular index, how it was started, and what kind of measure it is giving. Okay, so let's see, and we will see that right now what is happening in India, why there is this fluctuations, and we will try to see the reasons for that. Okay, now here you can see when we are talking about this volatility index, this has given a particular, you can say, high in the index itself. Here you can see markets expectation of the volatility over the near term has surged past 21 mark. So that is 21 mark means that there is an index, there are certain numbers, and there is the particular mark, that is 21, they have crossed it. Okay, so it is basically they are saying that markets are being more vulnerable right now, markets are being at more risk. Okay, not vulnerable, I would say volatile. Volatile means that there are fluctuations. Okay, so whenever there is a fluctuation in markets are more at risk, because people will be averse to go for any kind of concrete you can say investments. Okay, so now markets expectation of volatility over the near term has surged past 21 mark. The rise in the India VIX shows that the fear among the traders and the market participants on the expected volatility is more now compared to the 15 days earlier. When we are talking about 15 days earlier, when we are talking about the start of the election or before that, the volatility was not this much, but recently it has increased, because there are simple things, that there are elections going on in the country, there are certain events which are happening, and ultimately we are worried about the results. Okay, and market is also worried about the result, and that is why these fluctuations are happening. Now what is volatility index? Here you can see the volatility index VIX, or the fear index, is a measure of markets expectation of volatility over near term. Okay, so they are saying that near term, so here also they have measured for 15 days. Okay, so that is for the short period of time they are basically going for it. Okay, then Rate of volatility is often described as the rate or and the magnitude of the changes in the price. Okay, volatility means that whatever change is there, whatever fluctuations are there. Okay, so fluctuations in market, because market will only be working on the prices. Okay, other than that, in finance often refers as the risk. Okay, this is for the market. When we are talking about the finance market or the stock market, stock exchanges, etc., that is basically dependent on the risk. Risk means that whether market will go up or down, how market will perform, that kind of risk which is attached to it, that is basically given by the this fear index or volatility index or VIX. Okay, now here you can see during the period of market volatility, the market moves steeply ups and downs and volatility index tends to rise. Okay, now if there is a up or down in the market, okay, the prices are not fixed, they are fluctuating at very fast pace, that means that your index is rising. Okay, so if I say that VIX is rising, that means that market is more volatile, or you can say more at risk. Okay, now the amount by which an underlying index is expected to fluctuate in the near term, the volatility index is the measure of the amount by which the underlying index is expected to fluctuate in the near term. So basically, all in all, simple words, you can say that whatever risk or the changes which are attached to the market, if there is a change in the price of a particular commodity, okay, so this particular change or the fluctuations will be recorded in the you can say VIX index. Okay, then other part over here is that what is India VIX. Okay, so this particular VIX has started from Chicago Board of Option Exchange. So that was in USA. So this was the first time they introduced volatility index for the US markets in 1993, and based on that SP100 index option price was being used for that. Okay, so this was based on the SP100 index price. In 2003 they revised it and they have made it a group of SP500, basically like Nifty and Bombay Stock Exchange. There are also a group of companies. Okay, so earlier there was 100 and then they have increased it to 500. Okay, now this is the indicator of how market practitioners thinks about the volatility of the market, and based on this particular thing we have also devised an index, that is basically VIX. So here you can say India VIX is the volatility index computed by the National Stock Exchange, that is NSE. Okay, it is based on the order of the books of the Nifty options. Okay, as I told you, there are group of companies. So similarly, we have a Nifty group in which there are certain companies, and on the basis of their performance, we will devise this particular index. Okay, so this is about India VX, simply the volatility index in India. Okay, for this they have taken permission from the you can say S&P. They have given permission and they have taken permission from this Chicago Board of Option Exchange. Okay, you don't have to go into all these details. Here it is written, VIX is a trademark of CBOE and Standards and Poor has granted a license to NSE with permission from CBOE. Okay, so that is basically what I have told you, that in India for this particular index we have taken permission from S&P, and S&P has given us permission after taking a permission from CBOE, because that is basically their trademark. Okay, now why India VIX is surged recently? So surged means that there are volatility in the market, that is there are changes in the prices, there are changes in the market which are happening. Okay, market is moving up and down at a very faster pace. So why it is happening? Because recently you know that India is going through election phase, and now companies and the big corporates etc. are worried about the election results, because political sentiments are affecting the economic sentiments. That is a basic phenomena which is happening everywhere. If there is a political stability or political instability, these things will impact the economy of that particular area. Okay, so similarly right now when politics or when we are talking about the elections, because of there are certain new things which is happening, like there is a dip in the voter turnout, then there is this India alliance ultimately. So the political future they are concerned about, and based on which market is fluctuating right now. Okay, so whenever there is the election, whenever there is a phase of election which is going on, at that point of time there will be a different surge which you can see in VIX. Okay, so that is about this particular thing. What is about the outlook on India VIX? Okay, so this is not the first time it is happening. In 2019 also it has happened, because in elections time it will happen. But the thing is, this time it is little bit more. Okay, because there are voter turnouts that has decreased. Okay, other than that, if you are interested, you can go through this particular article, but I hope that will not be necessary for your exam point of view. Okay, so what should investors do? Investors should be considering the index accordingly. They should be cautious about taking any kind of decisions. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Now we can move further to the next article. Solar flares behind the aurora were captured by the Chandrayaan 2 and Aditya L1 ISRO says. Okay, So we have talked about this auroras which has happened, okay, aurora borealis which has happened in the North Pole, and the effect has been seen in the lower latitudes like USA, even in Ladakh we have seen that, okay. So most of the time when we are talking about such things, these are basically restricted to polar areas only, but this time we have seen it to as low latitude like Ladakh as well, okay. The reason being that the solar emissions which has happened, or the solar storms which has happened this time, they were more intense, okay, and because of which we could see that. Right now this has been in this particular article has been taken for you because they have said that Aditya L1 and Chandrayaan 2 has basically recorded these things, okay. So here you can say it has been seen by the Indian ground stations, the spacecraft Aditya L1 studying the sun from a point that is 1.5 kilometers away, million kilometers away, I'm sorry, 1.5 million kilometers away, and Chandrayaan that is orbiting the moon, okay. So right now when we are talking about Aditya L1, you know that that is on the Lagrange's point L1, that is 1.5 million kilometers away, okay. So from that place they are trying to take data, and they have seen these impact of these particular flares, okay. A result of the charged particles, from the, when we are talking about the auroras which are happening, these are result of a charged particle, or you can say these are visible in the night sky because the charged particles from the solar storms which are coming towards earth, and they enter the earth's atmosphere, and in the atmosphere there are various gases, and they interact with these gases, okay. These are ions are interacting with these gases, and because of which they produce this specific kind of light over here, okay. As a they are basically result of charged particle ejected by the sun hitting the gas in the earth's upper atmosphere. Usually this particle travels along the earth's magnetic field, okay. When we are talking about earth's magnetic field, it is something like this, this is our earth, and magnetic field is like that. So they are moving along the magnetic field. So like let's say if they are coming over here from the sun, this is your sun, if they are coming like this, they will move along the magnetic field and they will accumulate towards the poles over here, okay. So basically that is the normal course of action, but recently since this storm was quite intense, and that is why they have gone to other areas as well. But during a geomagnetic storm like the one witnessed recently, the magnetic field may break and allow particle to reach to the upper atmosphere, okay. Now this was the most intense which was seen after 2003. We have discussed about it. Indian sector has got less affected as the main hit of the storm has happened early morning on 11th of May when the ionosphere has not been developed fully, okay. So since it was happening in the morning, that is why ionosphere has not been developed fully. There are certain cycles which are going on in the ionosphere as well, okay. Also being at the lower latitudes, widespread outrage has not been reported in India. Ionosphere was a very turbulent over the Pacific and the American sectors, okay. We have seen that in the Pacific sector, and when we are talking about the North Pole sector, we have seen these auroras very beautifully, okay. Now there is this payload on Aditya L1, that is ASPEX, okay. This is some kind of, you can say, spectrometer or something like that. So it has captured high speed solar winds, high temperature solar winds, plasma, the charged particles expelled from the sun, and the energetic ion flux, okay. This ion flux has come towards the earth, and ultimately we have seen the effect as auroras, okay. Solar flares are more commonly seen in the solar maximum. When we are talking about the solar maximum, there are different cycles on the sun, okay. When this particular solar maximum will be in the mid 2025, okay, but the event has started, so that is why we are seeing such activities. In mid 2025 we will see even more intense activities like this, okay. Now Chandrayaan 2 orbiter also has captured the eruptive event from the orbits on the moon. Now why I have told you this is that most of the time these auroras are phenomena which are attached to your poles, okay. And if in UPSC they ask you that if Chandrayaan has recorded it or the Aditya L1 has recorded it, so you might not get confused that they did not, but you can simply say that yes, Aditya L1 and Chandrayaan has recorded these things, okay. Now moving further, other than that, one more thing I would like to tell you that here these activities has been recorded in a observatory that is Dark Sky Reserve, that is Hanle, that is in Ladakh. Recently it has been given the designation of Dark Sky Reserve, Dark sky reserves are the areas wherein artificial interference of the light is very poor, or you can say when we are talking about these artificial lights which we are interacting too much, that is very poor in that particular area, or you can say that is nil because there is no artificial light in that particular area, so that the light pollution is minimum, and that is why sky is very clear and we can see these phenomena in the Harle Ladakh. Other than that, there is this another solar observatory, that is Kodaikanal. Okay, Kodaikanal, it is in Kerala. This is the oldest solar you can say observatory in India. It was set up by the Britishers, so that is why you can remember this as well, because it has celebrated its some anniversary or something. That is why this Kodaikanal has been in news. So please remember this as well. Okay, I hope that is clear. We can move further. Next article is related to your international affairs or from around the world. It is the US warns of the sanctions after India Iran seal the Chahar Deal. Okay. Chahar Deal, when we are talking about Chahar, is very important for India. Okay, why? Because we are trying to connect it earlier when there was this presence of USA in Afghanistan, and we had good relations with Afghanistan. We have our infrastructure projects in Afghanistan. That point of time we wanted that this particular project happens, and then we have some kind of presence in Afghanistan. Whatever trade we have to do with Afghanistan, that used to be done by this particular corridor, that is India, Pakistan and Afghanistan, and because of the tensions between India and Pakistan, they have removed us from the air access, and that is why we have to move from this particular you can say way, and that is why we have gone for this particular you can say project in which Chahar port becomes important from our Kandla from Gujarat, or from the Mumbai port JLN Jawaharlal Nehru port trust. From there we can directly access Chahar port, and from Chahar port it is a multimodal you can say project in which you can go to Jahedan, Zaranj and then Kabul. Okay, so ultimately now even with the presence of the Taliban, we are trying to make diplomatic relations with Afghanistan. We have to, after elections we will see what is the course which has which the government takes with the Afghanistan, but again we have to make some kind of relations with Afghanistan, because you know that according to Kautilya, the enemy of a enemy is basically a friend. Okay, right now there is this group in Pakistan which is creating a lot of trouble, that is Taliban, you can say section of this particular group from Taliban is having a presence in Pakistan, and they are creating a chaos. Okay, so ultimately now that is foreign policy, but that Chahar port, this is basically in Iran, and that is why it is most important for us. And recently we have signed a deal of for 10 years with respect to this particular port, and USA has shown some kind of concerns. Okay, so let's see what is USA saying. A day after India and Iran signed a 10-year contract to operate the strategic Iranian port of Chabahar, an entity considering, so US's department has says that any entity considering business deal with Iran need to be aware of the potential risk of sanctions. Okay, now when asked if the Chabahar port has been exempted from the spokesperson of the US government, they have replied in negative. Okay, so that is the, you can say they have said that the port is not an exception. Okay, but in the Trump regime, when we are talking about the Donald Trump regime, at that point of time this Chabahar port has been given an exemption. Okay, but right now that is not the case. But again there are elections in you can say USA, so we will see what is the course then. No official work from the Ministry of External Affairs. As of now there is no official work. Okay, Chabahar port has got a waiver from the US sanctions from the US administration under the President Donald Trump. Okay, so which we have discussed. This is the same thing which is written over here. Okay, now right now here you can say come to this particular part. Chabahar is a deep water port located in the Sistan Baluchistan province of Iran. It is closest Iranian port to India, located in the open sea, providing easy and secure access to the larger cargo ships. Okay, so that is why Chabahar port becomes important for us. During the visit of Prime Minister in Iran in 2016, they have come up with the idea of there was this trilateral agreement between the you can say Iran, India and Afghanistan to create this particular you can say project. Okay, so that is from Kandla to Chabahar and then Jahedan, Zaran and to Kabul. Okay, so that is particular international transport and transit corridor Chabahar agreement was signed by India, Iran, Afghanistan, and this particular trilateral agreement was there. Okay, so these two paragraphs becomes important for you. Okay, right now there was this Shahid Bahishti terminal. Okay, so development of the first phase of the Shahid Bahishti terminal on the Chabahar port, that contract was given to India. Okay, other than that there is this company, the Indian company India Port Global Limited, and their branch is there, that is Chahar Free Zone. Okay, so basically IPG India India Port Global Chahar Free Zone. So this is the company which is operating this port from 2018. Since then we have sent various shipments even to Afghanistan. When we are talking about Afghanistan, we have sent 2.5 million tons of wheat and 2000 tons of pulses which has been shipped to Afghanistan. Other than that, in 2021 India has supplied 40,000 liters of environment free pesticides, okay, that is Malathion. Okay, so please remember this name as well. UPSC has you can say a funding for such names. Malathion, this is basically an environment friendly you can say a pesticide, okay, which has been sent to Iran at that point of time, okay, to fight the menace of locust. You know that the areas of Iran, Rajasthan, Pakistan, Afghanistan, these are having problems of locust, and that is why this particular pesticide has been given to Iran. Okay, so I hope this is clear about this particular article. Now moving further, next article is related to the sanctions which has been imposed by USA on China. Recently, there was this visit of you can say US's diplomats in China, and they have raised concerns about the China's policy of exports, but again they did not give much thought about it. So the Biden administration has gone for the sanctions on various things, like here you can say steep tariff increased on the array of Chinese imports including electrical vehicle, batteries, computer chips and medical products. Other than that, there are certain other items like steel, aluminium, semiconductor, electrical vehicles, critical minerals, solar cells, cranes, etc. So these are the items on which sanction has been put. Okay, so here you can say this is another trade war kind of situation which can happen with USA and China. Okay, so China has immediately vowed that they will go for the retaliation. So ultimately this will take a you can say form of a trade war. Okay, the US imported nearly $427 billion in goods from China. So that is the China has exported this much item, and when we are talking about USA's send off, you can say USA has given 148 billion you can say to, or you can say trade with China, or you can say exported this much amount of worth of goods to the China. Ultimately here you can say USA is in a huge trade deficit with China. Okay, so that is about this particular thing. China is using the same playbook it has before to power its own growth at the expense of others by continuing to invest despite excess Chinese capacity and the flooding global markets with exports that are underpriced due to unfair practices. So you know that the demand in China is reducing, and because of which recently China has adopted to go for the export oriented economy. Okay, so ultimately they are going for again some subsidies or unfair practices which are which they are doing, because of which their products are you can say cheap in the markets, and ultimately they are trying to flood it with the cheap Chinese products. Okay, so that is about your this particular article. Now we can move further. For our own read, there is this article which is related to your chat GPT. Okay, so GPT 4o, there is this particular you can say new variant of ChatGPT is there. So that is an AI tool. You can read about this particular tool from this article. It is given in a very simple language. So that is article is for your own read. Now the last part of the session, that is your practice question. Here you can see this form of hepatitis could be passed via contaminated water or food. Okay, options are A and E, option B is C, C is B, and all of these. Okay, so you can go through the today's session and reply the answer in the comment box. Okay, so with that I would like to take your leave. If you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel. Thank you.